the stakeholder investment. So you need to maximize the investment of the stakeholders. This investment is not just about the shareholders or the sponsorships. It's also about the money, not just about money, but also the time and the effort, and perhaps the entire capital, the intellectual capital of all of these people. So the team is collectively responsible for maximizing this investment of time, effort, intellectual capital, and money invested into this. And the change is incremental, very important. You're not delivering a big bang like the waterfall model in Agile. It's all about delivering something in a small little way, small ways, and then slowly improving on that. So it's all about that stepwise change. It's not the big bang radical approach like in the waterfall. And the rapid feedback, it's all about feedback, right? So the moment you actually deliver something quickly to the market, you get the feedback quickly from them. So it's the engagement, the continuous engagement and involvement of the customers and the users at every point of time. And that's what works fantastic with Agile. Which is what was a nemesis, was a problem with waterfall. We had that situation where I was talking about the other day, a project where we worked. We had to actually spend a year and a half to actually deliver something, and then we showed it to the customer and it says, no, this is not what we wanted. This is not what is stated in this, specified in the requirements. This is actually a flop. This is the whole time, the money and the effort that you put is all waste. It's a flop show. So we're going to actually sue you, is what the client said to the development team. All because of one problem that we did not take into consideration the non-functional requirements, specifically the performance requirement of generating the report quickly. That was the case as we discussed yesterday. So if we went Agile with the project, we need not have waited for a 1 year, 1.5 whole year to actually kind of get the feedback from the customer. It would be almost instantaneous. It will be like as quickly as 2 weeks. In 3 weeks, we would have got the feedback from the customer. So the feedback is rapid because you deliver something and you're delivering in 2 weeks, a 3 week cycle. You get the feedback, you plow the feedback, improvement, the suggestions, the changes, the defects. You get it all the way back into the backlog. And then you prioritize. If it is urgent, you'll fix it. If it's not, then you actually put it for the next sprint. So you're actually getting the feedback quicker, fairly quickly in the Agile mode, and which is what is important for the continuous changing and improvement of that. Again, these two, the rapid feedback and the incremental change, they're like intertwined, they're like linked. If you're delivering something quickly and it's an improvement, then the customer would work on that, would have a look at it, and they will be able to give you an idea whether it is working fine or not, whether it's not working, it's looking good, it's not looking good. And then with that feedback, you can actually again change it, again improve on that in the next release. So this constant loop of these loops are actually getting bigger and bigger. So you've got a much better product, much improved, much bigger, a lot of more important features that work for the users. And then as we discussed, working software is the primary goal. It's not the perfect product. It's not the documentation. Previously, as I said before, we've got these requirement documents of thousands of pages that I used to write. And I used to spend at least a good few months, about 4 or 5 months, to get that requirements document perfect. And then after the sign off, the freezing, it used to take a good few months. But what is important is till about the 7th or 8th month, you still did not see the product. After about 9 months after the design and the architecture and the low-level design, that's when the developers would come in, they'll start looking at working on the code, and then that's when the product would have some semblance of a product. The first page would be developed after 9 months of requirements. Whereas with Agile, it's not that. With Agile, you can actually pretty much develop a product, depending on the type of the product and the complexity. But I would say perhaps in about 2 to 3 months, you've got actually a product, maybe one module. If not the entire product, you're talking about one module or 2 modules. So that will be ready and you can go to market in the first 1 or 2 months of the product development. So what is important there is the working software. It's not the loads of pages of documents and requirements documents and the processes and stuff like that. And again, travel light, it's all about keeping the documentation to the minimum that's important in Agile. if somebody says that it's no documentation, don't believe that. In Agile, still there's documentation, but then it's actually lightweight documentation. User stories, for instance, we were talking about the requirements yesterday, how they captured in the user in the form of user stories in Agile. It still is required. You still need to write user stories, but then they're not like those huge 1,000-page documents. They're just like a one-liner document in Agile, right? You still have got to do that. And then once you do that, then you can actually kind of track, assign the user story to a team or to a resource, or somebody who can work on that. And then once they fix it, you can close that. You can actually kind of change that again later. So you can see that kind of a life cycle, the traceability of the requirement and the user story in the Agile context. So it's important we travel light. And that's the reason why in the context of the Agile development, we were talking about the e-commerce website. So you can actually try and deliver the functionality of the catalog, where you can try and add 2-3 products or 2-3 items. You can deliver that in the first 2 months. If you started today, in November time, we can actually deliver that catalog and the ability to select an item and add it to the cart. And then again, perhaps in about 2-3 months from there on, we can have the checkout functionality, the shopping cart, and then we can have the order processing. And by about June, July, we can have the payment made through credit card. And by about August, September time, we can actually have the payment through bank transfer, through check, through PayPal, or any of these. So you can see that it's actually improving. It's actually incrementally you're developing, you're adding more and more functionality that matters to the users. It's not a big bang, one delivery that has all of these. It's actually kind of phased in